put it in with the pandemic, was right at the beginning. We were open 2 months and then shut down.
Damn.
It was
Damn.
like,
That's, yeah.
holy.
Welcome to the Dispensary Marketing Podcast, where we interview the top dispensary owners and experts in this space so that you can stay up to date with the latest trends and strategies that you'd otherwise miss out on. I hope you enjoy this episode. What's going on, everyone? This is another episode of the Dispensary Marketing Podcast. I'm joined with me today by the awesome Garet Avery. He's one of the co-owners of Kana Leaf Dispensary. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Brandon. Thank you.
Awesome. No worries at all. So, first question, as per usual, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Garet Avery. I am, like you said, I'm the co-owner of Kana Leaf Cannabis, one location in North Bay, one location in Ottawa. So I was in the military for 18 years. I got out medically. As I retired, I said I really wanted to open up a dispensary and keep going on with this journey that we started in North Bay on Nipissing First Nations. We were able to go ahead and open up the Nipissing location with the permission of the band council and members of Nipissing. So we decided we really wanted to go legal and bring legal products to our local area and stuff like that. And we really wanted to showcase that as an Aboriginal, we can do these things and still operate legally and then work with the governments to, abide by the treaties that we've signed. And, going forward, we felt there was no point of going ahead and, headbutting. So we did that. We went through that whole process. That was quite fun. So we opened that store there. And then as I retired from the military, I was looking for locations here in Ottawa because I met my family here in Ottawa, my kids, and we really wanted to come back and I wanted to build something here. So this is what we did. We opened the store here, and it's been quite the struggle. It's a fight. It's oversaturated for sure. So there's that. For myself and my family, we have my dad that's a partner in this adventure. We have my sister Noreen and Curtis. So there's the four of us, and my mom is a silent partner. She does everything in the background, So it's a family business, and we try to strive to make our customers happy and try to bring that family oriented customer service to our customers.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things, especially with dispensary owners or anyone really in the cannabis space, there is that kind of whole stigma against, you're running a dispensary, you're doing all these things. But it sounds like you had your entire family on board. Was that, the case at the beginning, or did you have to do some convincing? What was that process like?
So I was still in the military at the time when I was injured. I was serving down in London, Ontario. So I was there. I knew I was going to eventually not be able to continue my service with the military.
Right.
I found my way with cannabis by using it to help with my sleep and then with all my injuries and stuff. So I did that. My dad and my mom has a Yellow self-storage in North Bay, and he built this building, and he was just storing people that didn't pay their bills. You move their storage, put it in there. So he had that there for a long time. So when I was thinking of trying to get into this cannabis industry, I was really looking into how I could do it, what it takes, and all this stuff. So I was doing all this stuff in the background while working in the military at the same time. And then I approached my dad. I said, listen, we have a store location right here. Let's open up a dispensary. So we just started talking to the family, and we said, let's do it.
Yeah.
And my mother was against it. Against it totally, right? But now she's the biggest advocate for it for somebody in her age category, because now she uses it for her sleep. She uses it for, like, she has arthritis, so she's using it for that. So now she's a big advocate for it. So it did take some convincing, but now that we started it, now that they see that the stigma should not be there anymore. So it did change their mind about the whole industry itself. They do realize, it's not about just going and get blasted or partying all the time. Like, it's not even close to being that kind of industry, which I think that's where that stigma is coming from. So there was that stigma there, but now that we're in it, we're in it for good, and we're just going to keep trucking along.
Nice. I mean, contrary to popular belief, it's not just all about the highest THC products you can possibly get out there. There are definitely
Yeah.
other, other use cases. You know what I mean?
Yes, there is. And it's funny enough when like we sell a lot of like health and wellness products, which are like the, your creams, your lotions, your stuff like that. And just trying to get that out to the general public to like say,
Hmm.
listen, we have products that you could buy that you're buying currently now, but with a little bit of cannabinoids in it, which will really help. It's very beneficial for your skin and stuff. So it's those
Right.
kind of things that it's very hard to get out there to tell people like, listen, we have a whole product line that has nothing to do with getting stoned
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that stigma needs to somehow go, but the government really needs to help us be able to advertise and promote these things more freely. I mean, we could have discussions on Instagram or whatever, but then we would get reported, right? Because
Right.
we're talking about, we say, as soon as you say the word cannabis, for some reason the cannabis word became an illegal word to say, which blows my mind. I'm like, you can't even say it on radio and all this stuff. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
the stigma and the way that the rules and regulations were not written very well.
Right. Right. Right.
So
So, what would you say were the biggest differences between opening up your first North Bay store compared to the Ottawa store?
big difference is in North Bay, we were basically the first store to open up.
Mm-hmm.
So we did get a lot of clientele from North Bay, right?
Mm.
So right now, like in North Bay, there's population is what, 5,500. It's not that big, but
Right.
we had like 17 stores at one point. It was just ridiculous. So I mean, the fluctuation of traffic of
Right.
customers, because they would go around. As soon as two stores would open, we would notice for that month, or it would drop. Then the next month, it would go back up because
Right.
customers, of course, you're going to go and try all the other different
Yeah.
dispensaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And luckily, we really focused on what we wanted to was
Mm-hmm.
customer service, and like
Mm-hmm.
they came back to us. So that struggle was a struggle, and to put it in with the pandemic was right at the beginning. We were open 2 months and then shut down. You
Damn.
know, it was
Damn.
like
That's yeah.
holy. And not being somebody from any kind of retail or entrepreneurship or nothing like
Mm-hmm.
that, like our
Mm-hmm.
family, like I mean, we didn't
Well, this was your
we
first
just
go around at starting a business.
yeah, so it was very first go around. So you're stuck with like the pandemic. You're stuck
Yeah.
with like changing operations on the
Yeah.
fly and just make sure that we're constantly going. Was constantly finding out different ways of adapting, and we had to do that without any like assistance.
Right.
Right? We had to do that. We were put on these restrictions, and we had to adapt
Yeah.
to make sure that we were surviving. Like it was that was the most difficult. It was like, how are we going to keep going?
Mm-hmm. But
But
you
we
made
did
it.
it.
You
We
made
did
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
difference between there and Ottawa, I came in just basically when everything started like opening up again. Masks were still on, and then it started slowing down. But at
Mm-hmm.
that time, our street, when most stores were closed on Mondays and closed early. So to start up a business when everybody thought that ended its road, like in what on Richmond, was
Mm-hmm.
basically closed. So it was hard. It was slow, but
Right.
it's going up now that we're getting more awareness, more customer, you know, more customers are coming in, finding us every single day, which is so nice to hear. And the comments are so nice to hear. I mean, we're always adapting. We're always going to adapt. So expect more from
Mm-hmm.
Kana Leaf, obviously, and expect more. Hopefully, I would love to expand. Everybody would, but I mean, look at the way that they open up the 150 stores under one license.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious to find out who who put in these requests because that wasn't even on our radar at all.
Yeah.
Like we have so many more things that we needed to do in the industry, but helping bigger corporations gobble up family businesses by opening up that much. I mean
Yeah.
that's that's an unfair advantage
Yeah.
based on just purely like finance
Yeah.
perspective, right? Like we
Yeah.
don't have the bank or we don't have the capital. I mean, I'm sure every mom and pop store wants to go out and, expand their business and be better, but we're honestly, we can't. I mean, our store has been approached to be bought now, to purchase our location already by other corporations. At this point, we totally refuse, because if we don't stand strong, man, it's just gonna be Loblaws and a bunch of these bigger corporations gobbling up the industry, and then the industry. That's not what this industry was about. And you can tell by when you talk about the legacy side of everything, and those people coming into the legal realm, you can just see the difference between people that are for the industry or people that are just for the buck.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating fighting against that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Customers are learning, though.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, I think a lot of people, especially when the argument to be made for legalization in the first place, right?
Yeah.
It was very much so power to the plant. This is the alternative to a bunch of other, kind of things. I mean, you said you use it yourself, right? You said your mom uses it, right? Versus, trying to take a bunch of, pharmaceuticals and stuff like that, right? And it seemingly seems it's become more and more apparent that, again, like you said, there's those two buckets of people, where it's the buckets where this is a new kind of trendy thing to try and make money, or this is an industry that I can make an impact on, that I truly believe in because it's something that I use myself, and it's something that I can sell to other people because I really believe in it, right? And and I think, unlike, let's say, a restaurant business, right? I feel like it's a lot more difficult, at least at this point, to find that key differentiator, because if you're a pizza joint and somebody opens up a burger joint, that's fine because you're not selling the exact same thing, right? But if you're a pizza joint and then 50 pizza places open around you, it's like, how different can my pizza really, really, really be when, there are corporations and stuff opening up 150 locations within a, X amount kilometer radius, right? And that makes it difficult. So, I applaud you, because I know entrepreneurship and building a business itself is not the easiest thing. And not only did you do that right before COVID started, and then not only did you do that where I think sometimes the outcome of what you do is not like majority decided based on your actions. It's based on the politics, right? It's based on the policies. It's based on what people can say you can or cannot do, right? So it's very I guess courageous is a word for you to not open up one, but then open up two, and then still say, despite all of that, you want to open up more. So, I think that's awesome.
I truly believe in what we have here is something very special. The way we approach our service, I think that we're doing a really excellent job. I mean, we're always going to improve. There's always going to be mistakes that we're going to do, of course.
Right.
And there have been a lot of mistakes, a lot of bad choices we've done, like per marketing, hiring people and then not coming through, right? So, I mean, there are those ups and downs, but it does get frustrating, but you just got to keep your head up and kind of just keep plugging away, because if you don't and you just throw your hands up, it's you can't just let the other people win. I'm all about the win, not about the give up.
Yeah. What's the saying? It's not about how many times you get knocked over. It's about how many times you get back up and keep trying. Something along those lines. So it sounds like that's like built into you.
It is. I'm maybe because I am stubborn. I will admit that. I don't like failure at all. So I will do my best to not. And if I do, I will correct myself and I will do better. I'm very stubborn that way.
Right.
I'm stubborn to the point where I will do my very best. I'll do everything I possibly can to make it happen. And just like being on this podcast, for instance, like for 18 years being in the military, I never go on I never go on social media. I never do any of that stuff. It took me a long time to even open up a camera and just speak to a camera. Like, and in my mind, I'm always judging myself, right? And it's very hard as somebody getting into something, putting yourself out there, to not worry about that so much. Because let's be honest, I watch a lot of different podcasts, and I could honestly say I could do that. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, we could sit and have a conversation. That's pretty
Right.
easy to do. Talk
Right.
about normal things. I just have to not think of. I'm not an actor, so that's the part that's really hard for somebody that has no experience with this kind of marketing stuff and putting
Mm-hmm.
yourself out there,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
camera being in your face and stuff like that. It's very difficult and very, but it's coming.
All right.
But you have to force
How
yourself to do it.
how did you make that transition from a self-improvement standpoint to be able to become the type of person that was both open and willing to do the whole put your face on camera and put yourself out there? Was that out of necessity?
Necessity, yeah, in a way. I mean, it's for me. I find it's very necessary for you to have your own voice for your own business and for your customers to see
Mm.
the people behind the business.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important, and yeah, it is a necessity. I find,
Right.
and yeah, I mean, I had to do it. I needed to reinvent myself. And this is a way, this is just another challenge for me. And being in the military, I was always up for challenges. And most of it was more physical than anything. And I
Right.
had my ups and downs with injuries and stuff like that throughout my career. And basically that's what ended my whole military career, was me pushing myself
Mm.
probably a little too hard,
Right.
but I had nobody to tell me to stop. So
Yeah.
of course, that's the thing. Like, if somebody doesn't physically stop me from doing something, I probably won't stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, this specific topic on just kind of like, again, like the progress of kind of identifying who you are as a person, right?
Yeah.
I find that like a very fascinating thing, and I can dive super deep, and I'd love to kind of keep chatting with you on this. I have one more question on this, and then we can kind of move on. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned that, yeah, unless you have somebody to push yourself, that you will keep on pushing yourself until it might be a detriment towards yourself, right?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing, because I think a lot of people these days, they want to strive for things, goals, dreams, aspirations, et cetera, and they might hold themselves back because they don't want to go through that discomfort of pushing themselves that hard. But conversely, if they don't push themselves that hard, they will never be good enough or put in the effort required to become good at the thing or whatever their goal is, right? So then my question to you is that, like, even though it didn't work for you necessarily before, where you injured yourself because you pushed yourself too hard, would you take that back? Would you have rather been in a situation where you don't think you tried hard enough, but not know to the extent of how far you'd be able to go?
Probably not.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I've had that question asked, like, when I was in the military. Like, somebody asked me, would you have joined the military if you knew that you were going to come out being this uncomfortable and this sore and with these many injuries?
Yeah.
And I'm like, probably not. Because it
Mm.
was something that I just looked at as a challenge, right? Like,
Right. Right. Right.
so yeah, it's just built in me. I just don't
Mm.
know. I just can't.
Yeah. No,
Can't
I
I
see it as a
sit
super
back and
positive.
relax.
Yeah. 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 It's I think, to when it becomes where it's difficult for you to find that peace, where you just kind of want to be like, okay, like, because everyone gets into that. I don't know about anyone, but you get into that hamster wheel of like, I'm working, I'm being productive, I'm doing the thing, and I want to work at it, and I want to go as hard as I possibly can, right? To the point where when you are chilling or not doing kind of the thing that you think that you should be working on, where you kind of feel guilty that you're not doing the thing, right?
Yeah,
So there's always a balance of that. Anyways, moving on.
yeah,
You touched on this a little bit before about how you're getting better with marketing and how you're getting people to be more aware that you exist, right?
yeah.
Not you, but Kana Leaf as a whole. So
Can't
what
leave.
are
Yeah.
some of the what's the marketing kind of mix that you've been kind of tinkering with, to kind of get people to come into the store? We can touch on, like, how you get people to stay with the customer service and word of mouth, but like, are there any marketing initiatives that you do, partnering up with community people? We spoke about SEO, any of those things?
Yeah. So we have like a VIP program that
Mm-hmm.
we implemented, where it's free to join. any purchase, you gain points. You use those points for discounts. We send out every once in a while. We'll send out our VIP members extra point weekends where you go and buy. If you come in, you'll end up getting 3-4 extra points. We randomly have dollar pre rolls for our VIP. We do host the last 2 years in Ottawa. I hosted Comedy for Clean Water, which was helping Water First NGO. So we were doing some comedy shows to raise funds for clean water for Aboriginal communities across Canada. We do a lot of like Shepherds of Good Hope. We were trying to help them. We help the food bank, Westboro Food Bank. We do that every winter. In North Bay, we do the Santa Claus Fund.
Nice.
We have the Kana Expo coming up this summer in North Bay, which is going to be really great. We have a really good. We have at least 20 legal producers going to show up for this outdoor cannabis event in North Bay. So if anybody's interested, it's open to the public. You get to see exactly what goes on. And I'm hoping to have some discussions so people could see these discussions and exactly what goes on. Because I went to Grow Ops and I wish the community was out there to see what the cannabis community does. There was no news coverage of what was going on in these talks. And there was agencies there talking about the laws and what needs to be done. And it was very interesting. But you never get to see that unless you're in the industry and you get to see it. But it's not the people in the industry that needs to see it. It's the people outside the industry that needs to see it. And that's where the disconnect I find with the industry and the public. There's a barrier which the government created, right? So
So it sounds like you do like a lot of community events, kind of both giving back to the community, but it also helps with your kind of the community brand, right? Like I tell people all the time, you don't, unless you're one of those massive corporations, you don't need to be worldwide famous or even internationally famous. You just need to be city famous in your city. And then it sounds like that's like kind of the main thing that you're working on right now.
Yeah, and I find being more involved with the community, doing stuff like that, it does help. And honestly, I find if you're going to open up a business wherever you are, whoever you are, you should look at the community that allowed, well, especially with the cannabis industry, like they allowed us to open these stores, right? We have to get approval. So thank you. That's basically what we're trying to say to our community. We're here not just to sell cannabis. We're here to better the community by us being there.
Right.
And by more support, we could support the community even better. Right. And even like just going back for the community, we just had a Sens Toronto hockey game where we had 2 winners from Ottawa, 2 winners from North Bay come to a suite, and we hosted a game night for them.
Oh, no
and
way.
One of the winners, they weren't even a customer. I was on the sidewalk, right, doing raffles for the food bank. So it was a non-customer that won, and that's kind of like what we're about. We're about the community, not just about ourselves. It's like we'll give stuff to the community.
Right.
You don't have to come into our store or buy anything. We just, and I think that's a way for the industry to really break out of that stigma and help, showcase what these stores are about. Because with all the window coverings, people are still curious, and the stigma will still be there until people can actually see what these awesome locations look like. Because I want to show off everybody what our store looks like inside, but nobody can see it because we got window coverings, right?
Yep, everyone has those window coverings. So you get people in through the store by doing a lot of these community events. How do you get people to stay?
Just be nice. Just be nice and honest. If you don't know something, don't be afraid to say, I'll look that up for you. Come back next time and I'll shoot you an email. Like, you just do what you have to do. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's just, maybe it comes naturally just to want to help and serve. I mean, that is my background for 18 years, help and serve, right? I was in the
Yeah.
military.
Yeah.
Being in the military too is a little funnier thing because I was actually a military police. So
Okay.
yeah, so when all my fellow guys realized that I opened a dispensary after leaving the military,
I was
being
going to
military
ask.
police, it was
Yes.
quite a yeah. So I had to fight that kind of stigma in the back of my mind
Mm-hmm.
because even when it became legal in the military, they were still basically like, it's bad. Everybody didn't want,
Yeah.
like, you were
Yeah.
still like, but you knew who was still using it within the military, and it was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
this
Is it still
weird.
that? Is it still that way now? Just based
I,
on what you
I don't
know?
know if it's still that way
Yeah.
now, but I mean, it was quite weird.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But before we continue, if you're enjoying this episode and are looking for some marketing help for your own dispensary, you can check us out at cannabudmarketing.com or visit us in the links in the description below. Now, on to the rest of the episode. I mean, the social peer pressure is also a big one, right? So again, just to
Yeah.
stack on all the things, you had your social peer pressure, the family peer pressure, starting a business pressure. It sounds like you threw yourself really into it. But like I said, I just really want to applaud you because there's a lot of things stacked up not going in your favor. But you keep pushing, and it sounds like you're doing a fantastic job right now. So
Thanks.
good job.
I appreciate it. It's hard work, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna be really rewarding.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it's going to be, super super rewarding. So, on the in-store side, so I've had a few conversations with a few people on like what their in-store kind of branding looks like, right? Whether it's like, do they try and stack the shelves with as much product as possible? Do they take kind of sponsorship days where they have like a brand that comes in and has like, their little pop-up thing in the store? Kind of what's your process? Like what's your thought process on, in-store, I guess, sales generation?
So in our store, it's very clean. We don't have a lot of product placement. A lot of. Well, we have product placement.
Mhm.
We don't have a lot of the whole bunch of stuff all over. It's very
Sure, sure.
clean looking. It's not like it's hard. It's like a neutral. I don't know. It's hard to. I'm not a designer, so
That's fine. That's fine.
it's
No,
it's
no.
just yeah. So it's very comfortable for. We try to like kind of focus on everybody, not try to pigeonhole ourselves into
Mm,
like a like a category, like
mm, mm,
say like the hippie feel. Like it's not a
mm, mm,
hippie feel kind of where you walk in, you're like, oh my god, this is kind of trippy. This place, like
mhm,
we
mhm,
try to kind of like try to get everybody everybody to come in to feel comfortable and not
mhm,
feel
mhm,
like they're out of place.
mhm,
You know
mhm.
what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's kind of like that's why it's kind of like cottagey, kind of like wood feeling,
Yeah, yeah. It's
home
homey. It's
feeling. We
homey.
have we
It's
have our Aboriginal art all over, which you could purchase from Jessica Summers. She's a very very good um, Métis artist
mhm,
who does
mhm,
our art for us. We can't sell it out of our store because of regulations, but we do hold them for her. And the
mm.
customers want to buy it, they could buy it from her. So that's another thing that we
Ah,
kind of do.
interesting. I didn't know you can't do that. So you can't
Now,
take sell product on behalf of somebody else if it's not cannabis?
if it's not cannabis related, so if
Mm.
she drew an art and put a
Yeah.
cannabis leaf in it, then
Yeah.
I could put it in my POS system because it's kind of cannabis related, right?
Sure.
It's silly, it's stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, so we have to do that to go around to help our own people, and I find
Yes.
that kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we do bring in other products in our store, and that's the other thing that we try to do in our store. Say such as this awesome thing right here is it's called the Bud. It's a stash box,
Oh, nice.
and
Yeah.
and I met this lovely lady Carmen from the boxstore.com.
Mhm.
She came up with this idea. I met her at the cannabis event out there. She's an entrepreneur herself. So when I saw this box, I'm like, I got to bring this out to Ontario, put it in our stores to try to help her out. And that's another thing that we like to do. I like to source Canadian products
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
from entrepreneurs.
mhm.
Try to help them because they're going to help us. I find if I scratch your back, you'll scratch my back, and we can all be a big happy family to help each other rise above the bigger corporations that have a lot of money. So we
Yeah.
only have each other, and
Yeah.
it's a big country, so use every province, and that's what I try to do. I'm going to try to go out to every province to try to meet like all the LPs that we buy. I find that really important to get out there to events, to like meet the CEOs, meet the growers of these plants, really get talking to them. That way you grow on a real relationship, not just a transactional relationship, but more let's work together.
Yeah.
And I find that it's very beneficial, and and I find it's really working well for us. And I would highly suggest for anybody that has a store to get out of the store and go to these events and really meet the people that grow your products that you're selling. I think that's important. You should know where these products are coming from, and you should know the people who are growing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all here for one, right? So
I think one of the bigger advantages that you have over the bigger guys, or the bigger advantages that smaller guys have over the bigger guys, is speed of execution. So being able to swap product in and out very quickly, right? Being able to take customer feedback, right? For example, I go into Tokyo Smoke, I speak with some bud tender or general manager, and then, maybe there's 10 of me that have the same general feedback on something, right? It'll probably take them 6 months or like nothing at all for them to even consider an implementation that I think would be very useful, right? Whereas for you, like you said, one of the big things is talking to your customer, being nice, and all those things, and by relation of that, you just get to have genuine conversations and organic conversations with customers, and you get to get an idea of what they like and what they dislike, right? So
exactly.
on that side, I would say, customers really do like the rotation of products. Obviously, you have your core products and stuff like that, but they also like to get like their new things coming in. So what's your process on curating, products? What does that look like?
So I'm really trying to look for the unique strains and craft. In my opinion, with the smaller independents, is my focus. I mean, the mainstays that sell at every store, sure, we'll have that,
Right.
and there's nothing wrong with those products. But I honestly love dealing with the independent craft guys, because they're more straight up. They'll tell me exactly what's going on. They'll help us if we need help. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that relationship, and just having our customers suggest something for us to bring in. We keep a log, and say if somebody wants something that we don't have, and they said that we should get it in. If we hear that a couple of times, I will definitely bring a box in. And if somebody really loves that, like, let's take Northern Lights for instance. It's a very, not many LPs right now have just a straight up Northern Lights strain. So a customer comes in, he's like, if you buy a box, I will keep buying this. So I did it, and it's sold like constantly. So that's the one thing that we will always do. We'll always do our best to bring in the products that the customer wants, based on OCS's ability to give it to us. That is,
of course, yeah.
Because that's one thing. It's really hard to tell the customers about. Like,
what
it's not
us. what makes a craft product a craft product?
What makes for me? What makes a craft product is small batch. Somebody that's to me, the CEO, the guy that's in there with the plants that are growing those products, small batch, cares about the products, hands on at the facility, and doing all, like, those are craft guys. Those are not automated. They're hands on everything. They really take the legacy. They take their legacy days, and they brought it into the legal realm, and they just make awesome products.
Right.
So let's take for instance, like Dank Craft. Have you heard of Dank Craft? Muskoka grown. So they're one of the first LPs that I got to meet personally. And I got to do a tour of their facility. Got to talk to John. He's the big guy there.
Shout out John.
Yeah, and like, he invited us to like event parties in Toronto. Go there, meet different and it's just such a good community. Like, and he turned Muskoka around after taking it and turned their product into a really good one. He didn't lay off anybody. He kept all the people that were at Muskoka when he took over, and he made sure that Muskoka would stay there. And they're doing excellent now. Like the products that they're turning out are really good.
Right.
So like just going out. That was my first time like going out to and putting myself out there. And I'm so happy I did, because it set me on a path where I'm like, I had a positive experience going to this event and meeting these people, and it kept me going.
Right. So would you say that one of the biggest things that contributes to your relationship with these different vendors and LPs are more so the in-person events than, hey, can you bring me another, load of this, that sort of thing?
Yeah, events are the way to go. Conferences are the way to go. I mean, you're crazy if you own a store and you've never been to one. It's kind of mind-boggling to me that you would want to operate in an industry and not participate.
Yeah,
I mean, you're going to get the best advice. You're going to get selling points. You're going to learn the product, and it's just what you should do. If you're selling something, you should know as much as you possibly can about that product, where it came from, and everything behind the scenes, how it's made, issues that they're having. And giving feedback to these guys. And that's the thing about the small craft guys that I love the best. Like, I'll try their product and I'll say, listen, I think you need to maybe change that filter tip and you'll have a perfect product. I give those honest feedbacks back to people, or I just say your product it's selling way too high. Like you're gonna have to. I would honestly figure out how to chop it down. Like they don't take it as disrespect. They take
feedback,
it as feedback. It's positive feedback, because I want them to succeed just like me. And I would hope if I was doing something like customer service wise, if I get a bad review, I want to know how I could fix that. Right. I really want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So you should always make sure that you're always
I mean, it's the same thing. Like when you have your customers come and say, hey, Garet, I think you should bring in this product, right? It's the exact same type of feedback, right? So it's like customer gives you feedback, then you give the other vendors feedback and stuff like that, and I think that's where the biggest relationship, like the reason why I like asking these questions about the relationship, is at the end of the day, like a business is also about the relationships that you have with other people, whether it's the people that you're selling to or the people that you're buying from in order to sell their product, right? So I think that's very good. Another relationship aspect that is probably one of the most important is your own employees and staff. How, I think there's a fine line between discussing using the whole "we are family," right, as kind of the mantra between employees, and then letting them know that like when you messed up, you messed up. You have to be accountable for the thing that you did, right? What would you say your kind of employee management style is? Are you like one of the, are you good cop, are you bad cop, or are you in between?
I could be everything. It all depends. It all depends on the situation. The situation will dictate who I am at the time. Depends. I mean, if it had anything to do with outright breaking the law and just being like,
of course,
expect the bad cop. Right?
If it's an objective wrong with malintent, then obvious bad cop. Yes.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think our employees understand our where I come from. Like coming from a military background, I was very like, it was so easy coming out, and that was the other transition that was very hard from the military to civilian life. To be honest, it was I could tell a group of people to just go do something,
and they'll do it.
And they'll do it, right? I wouldn't have to ask. And if they didn't do it, then they get written up, and it was more strict.
Yeah.
So it took me a lot of tweaking on my patience, just in general, just for civilian life, right? So like if I would have to repeat myself more and more times, or I would really have to be like hands on, like, okay, let's do this now. Let's do this now. Let's do like it's just a little transition. It's a little different.
Yeah.
That was the biggest transition. So like my leadership style is I will help. Kana Leaf does go out and we will do our best to help. Like we had an employee that moved from North Bay to here. I had my dad help to move his stuff here. we will go out, and if your car broke down, what do you need, $700? Like,
Yeah.
like, we'll do this, and we're not expecting anything like back. Like, you don't have to like put your life on the line for a Kana Leaf. It's just, we
Right.
want to make sure that you're able to succeed in your position,
Yeah.
and not be stressed out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if there's an issue, please tell us.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing when you hire people from like corporations that are so used to a different structure without the owner being there all the time and talking to him, having that face to face. I find that very important to do.
Yeah.
To sit back and not have anything to do with the inside store or your employees, or getting to know your employees, or talking to your employees.
Yeah.
To making sure everything's all right.
Yeah.
I think that interaction is very needed. And just having a manager as a job for these bigger places, honestly, it's basically, that's what it is to most of them, is just a job, until they go to like a family place where it's like they really care about. We'll make sure, right? So
yeah, I mean, you have at the end of the day, you're the owner, you're the co-owner, so no one's really going to care about the store more than you, right? But the closer that you can get to your employees having that ownership mindset, the better the results will be at the same time. Because when you look at the Google reviews, it's like, yeah, John really helped me out. He gave me some awesome advice, on ABCDFG, right? And 5-star review. But when I kind of do my research and I look at other reviews of other dispensaries, you can easily see that, I spoke to John and I wanted something that would calm me down, and he gave me this insane high THC product or whatever it is, and I couldn't sleep for 2 days, right? And then boom, 1-star review. And it's not even the 1-star review. It's the fact that that customer will never come back and shop with you ever again. So you permanently lost one customer out of the pool, right? And if you have whatever rotating amount of customers, right, you just can't have it. So you need to make sure that you have people that are as close to that ownership mentality as possible. And the way you do that is by fostering that sort of family dynamic, by helping them, out with, let's say the moving, for example, because now that person is, the word isn't indebted, but they feel grateful for the work that you've done for them. And they want to reciprocate the same level of generosity back. Right. So it sounds like you're doing a really good job at,
and that's all you could hope for. You can't expect, like, you could give, but don't like, as an owner, sometimes you're like, okay, I gave so much, and you're not, even if they're not reciprocating as in like hard work and focus, at the end of the day, like you said, it's my job to do the marketing. It's my job, to make sure that it's running perfectly. And as an owner, I'm sure everybody understands that. Our employees, you could tell they really enjoy the industry, and if you make it a positive environment wherever you are, you're gonna have those positive employees that just love their job. Especially, when they love their job, when they see the order coming in and they're all giddy and excited because they love order day, because they gets it in and they see all these products and they're getting into it and they're like, oh, check out that. Like, that's when you don't need to really do anything more to make them excited.
Right.
Because they're already excited. They want to be there. They want to sell.
They
want that customer interaction because they're learning as they're going. Like, we had an employee, we hired him as a driver, and he didn't want to be on the floor. I don't want to be on the floor, but we're like, you're going to go on the floor. And now he's a freaking, you should see this guy. You should come in.
He's a beast. He's a beast.
He's buying he's doing the right things. Like, he's trying all these different products, and he's like, I need to know what this one. He's collecting all these things, and I kind of like, I see that, so I kind of like give him discounts on, like on our products, on our vapes and stuff like that, to like, because if they have these things and they're using it, it's such an easier sell. They get to use these things, show the customer that they're using it, and it's an easier way to go ahead and sell. So, I mean, if you spoil your employees is what I'm saying. If you have products in your store, let them freaking use it.
Yeah.
It's the
Exactly.
only way. Like,
Yeah.
and it makes them happy knowing that like they are not left in the dark. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get something, and you don't know when it's gonna come. Like we have draws all the time, um, where we do competitions, staff competitions. Who could this month sell this batch of flowers for you know and it's not that we need to push it and it's
Mm-hmm.
bad. It's just
Mm-hmm.
we want to see how many we could sell
Yeah.
because it's an incentive. They get something at the end. They
Yeah.
worked hard.
Yeah.
They did a good job, and they get something back.
For sure. For sure. Where do you see the future of the cannabis industry heading?
Whew, I don't know. It's going in a good place. Did you see BC right now? How they opened up the patios to consumption
I did
now?
not. No, really.
Yes. Yeah.
Right in time for summer. All right.
I know. I saw this yesterday on StratCan, so that's exciting. Like
Nice.
BC's doing good. Like just going out there in the grow ups and talking about consumption lounges and how it's necessary.
Right.
Like, but they did it. They opened up the patio, so now a store can have a patio out there. They could go out, sit on the patio, consume, come inside, just chill out.
Yeah.
Now you could have like an actual cannabis shop, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You can have more of a community too. Going
more of a
outside,
community
more
and more
talking.
more education being passed on.
Yeah.
Consumption lounges are I find are they should have been essential, especially
Mm.
coming from a medical cannabis standpoint.
Yeah.
As a medical user, you go on and you go on a website and they just tell you to buy a whole bunch of stuff, and then
Right.
it's up to you to try everything.
Yeah.
Imagine going to a consumption lounge and from a first time user getting information from an actual like say for me, I use it for pain. I'm using different types of cannabinoids to help relieve pain, inflammation, and stuff. It'd be so. Imagine sitting down with somebody and saying, "What are you using? How do you use it?
Yeah.
How do I use this right?"
Yeah.
There's none of that right now. It's basically just left up to people.
Yeah.
And I think that's totally wrong, especially when it comes to like medical cannabis and the advice that the lack of advice that is passed on is troubling, and you could tell that it's only there for money.
Yeah.
It's not there for the patient to actually figure out what's on. It's just insurance is going to cover this and they make money. And, which I would see in the future, every store being able to like sell to medical patients. It would save the government we have all the store locations anyways. We sell all the same products regardless. All they're doing is picking up a product.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same as if I'm on the computer and I get my information from like the nurse. She tells me, I go on and I order and I go pick up at like my package at the post office.
Yeah.
The person giving it to me has no education on it. They're just passing me the product.
Right.
In my mind, it's the same thing. If a medical cannabis person came into my store and bought it, they're buying it. I'm not giving them any advice.
Yeah. It's the same thing. As long as they know what they're buying.
Up their products.
Exactly.
And that way the retailers, at least they're able to benefit. But right now the only benefits are going is towards the medical and insurance and government. So
government, the big one.
The big one.
They'll get their cut.
Yeah. But I see this industry just opening up to the place that we want it. Like it is frustrating for sure. But I mean, like the consumption lounges are starting to happen. It's happening in BC. The window coverings came off in BC. It looks so nice out there.
Oh, nice.
Walking by the stores and you see everything.
Yeah.
It's going to grow, and I'm sure there's going to be some hiccups somewhere, especially with these 150 stores. So that's going to be interesting to see how this landscape turns out. So it'll be interesting for sure, but we have to pick at it slowly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What's next in store for you?
What's in next in store? Well, today I have a meeting with the sitting member of parliament. So hopefully I have a couple of talking points that we're going to discuss there. So I'm hoping to find out, what's happening with the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
For Kana Leaf, well, we're looking at expanding, of course. I'm always looking for other ways to better ourselves, and hopefully we give more services out. I have a couple things in the works about expanding our services in Ottawa.
Nice.
And I think it will be pretty exciting, and hopefully it takes off. But it's just keep growing.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep going. As much as we possibly can. And if it does, and like I said, in a few years, if it doesn't pan out, well, then it just doesn't pan out.
At least you tried your best.
I'm going to give it my hardest.
Yeah.
I'm going to be here until, Yeah.
Awesome. I have this really interesting question that I want to start asking my guests.
Okay.
What question do you think I should ask my next guest?
What question?
Or what question do you have for another dispensary owner that I can ask on the next show, and then I'll ask it.
Oh, well, how are you dealing with the freaking the almost price wars right now in the cannabis industry? Like, as a retailer, I'm just so mind boggled on some of these stores. And if you're a store owner right now coming in and there's price drops, please leave the prices alone, for crying out loud. Because what's happening right now, it's the margins for retailers are so freaking razor thin.
It's a race to the bottom.
So it's, and then we got no price stability whatsoever. So like, say Kana Cabana, it appears they're only making $4 off of every product that they sell, but they get a shit ton of money from the growers, right, to supplement their loss. So they look like they're in a negative, but they're actually making a positive. So it's very hard for smaller mom and pops to do that, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things, like, how are they going about, doing this pricing when it's so unfair? Right. That's the one thing that's very, very frustrating as a retail owner, is how do we keep our margins so we can keep our store location and keep going without just giving products away for free and no customer service. We do have the customer service, but I mean, people still do price like comparison. Why are your prices so more expensive? And I'm so tired. And we don't shit on other dispensaries. But for the bigger corporate dispensaries, they're totally wrecking the landscape and people's ability to make a really good living off of this. Right. Because all these big corporate chains are just gobbling all that money up, and it's like David and Goliath. Yeah. We're the small guys, so it's one of those things, like how are dispensaries right now competing against them? And unfortunately, some of them are closing. Yeah. Right? And that's the unfortunate part, and we're seeing it.
So on that note, about the price wars, competition, just trying to figure out your way in the space and competing against the big guys and stuff like that. Just based on your kind of wealth of experience that you have so far, what would you say to a dispensary owner that's looking to take it to the next level?
Really, like I said, focus on your customer service. Find out what customers really need. Give them value when they come into your store. Make sure you're hitting up your LPs. Get swag. Give it out to your customers. Give your customers free stuff. Appreciate them, and you'll win them back just by purely talking to them and not rushing them out. That's the advantage that we have as smaller independents over the bigger corporations. We're more focused on having a community rather than just having purchasers.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Garet, I just want to say thank you very much. Where can people find you? They want to get in touch.
You can find me at www.kanaleaf.ca. You can find us on Instagram, Kana Leaf Westboro, Kana Leaf North Bay. You could find me on X or Twitter, Garet Leaf Avery. So I'm on there. We're on YouTube, Kana Leaf 420 on YouTube, where I do some videos, some of the products that we sell in our store. I'll post them, so you could see a bunch of videos on there. And yeah, you come by North Bay, you might see me there, or come by if you're in Ottawa. Come in, have a chat. I mean, we have a corner we could sit, and we could set up a camera, and we could just have like a live. That's something that I really wanted to do, is do that. So
I might personally take you up on that. Next time I'm in Ottawa, I'll come on in. We can do it in person. I really want to get these things in person. I think it adds another dynamic to these podcasts. But
I think so too. But just doing this is awesome, because I've never had to do this or have to talk to people. So this is actually my first actual real talk.
Oh, really?
So,
you did an awesome job.
Yeah, no, I sometimes, honestly, to be honest, I do get sidetracked when I'm starting to talk. You probably noticed that. I'll start talking, and then something else pops in my mind, and I'll just go for it, right?
Yeah. No.
I'm all over the place when it comes to talks. So that's probably one of my biggest focus, where I have to really think about more often, is and that just comes with the experience of talking in front of something like this, right? And putting yourself out there.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, look, like, I think overall it makes for a much more interesting podcast episode. Being able to provide context towards answers versus just, kind of giving your standard one-word answers. How do you bring customers into your store? Well, I tell them to come in. It's just not as fun, right? So for a first-time podcaster, I'm honored to be the first one to be able to interview you. It sounds like not only do you have a massive care for your customers just based on what you've told me so far, but you have an insane level of ambition and persistence to be able to, want to keep on growing and opening up more stores and, trying to take it to the next level yourself. So again, just really want to say thank you very much for hopping on the podcast. This is a good one. And until next time, thank you very much for to the listeners. Just hope you stay tuned to the next episode. I'll see you later. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Dispensary Marketing Podcast. My name's Brandon Kwan, and I'm the founder of Cannabis Marketing, the #1 marketing agency of choice for dispensaries, both in the United States and in Canada. If you ever want to get in touch with me about any marketing strategies, tips, and tricks, I can definitely help you. Just go visit our website at cannabudmarketing.com. That's CANNABUD marketing.com, or just check the links in the description below. Until next time, talk to you later. Bye.